Hi everyone, and welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. So as we said in our last video, the next few videos we need to work on some of the equipment that's going to be used on the property during the spring and the summer. Now, obviously spring is hopefully not too far away, although at the moment the weather's not playing ball, but never mind, we hope it's going to arrive soon. So what we're looking at here, this is our Mountfield Riot mower we use for mowing the lawns around the place, and they obviously take, shall we say, precedence or priority. So we're going to go through this mower first. We're going to give it a bit of a service, but the main job we want to do is we need to remove the cutting deck, and I want to go through all the bearings, belts, pulleys, etc. and make sure that everything is okay. Probably replace bearings, because this mower, we've had this mower now for 3 years. It's been serviced annually, but we've never actually worked on the deck. For those of you who know anything about these, this one is the 1538M-SD. The SD stands for side discharge, and the M stands for mulching. So you basically got the option either to mulch, which is what we do. So we have this, what they call a mulching plug on the side, and what that does is so it doesn't discharge the cuttings out the side. Instead, it sort of swirls them around inside under the deck, cuts them up nice and fine, and of course then they mulch down into the lawn. If you want the side discharge, then you take that plug off, and there's a different fitting that goes on there, and then you'll get a side discharge. In terms of the engine, it's a 750, which basically means as you can see there, 452 cc. It's overhead valve engine, obviously electric start, single cylinder, and actually quite easy to work on generally. So we'll give that a service. We'll do an oil change, filter change. We'll check the valve clearances, make sure that they're okay, and just run through the carb. Probably do a carb kit on it as well this year. We didn't do it last year. It was running fine, so we left it. But this year we'll do it anyway. It's still running fine, but we'll do the carb kit anyway just to be sure. But the main thing, and where I'm going to start, is with the deck. So today I'm going to be pulling off the deck. I'm not going to video all of that because it's underneath the mower. It's very, very difficult to get a good angle on that for the camera. What I'll do is I'll take it off, we'll remove it from the mower, we'll move the mower to one side, and then we'll work on the deck itself, and we'll video some of that, so in terms of the dismantling of the deck itself. So look, I hope you guys find this interesting. It's obviously very different from what we normally work on in terms of the Ferguson tractor, but yeah, obviously, hopefully some of you at least will find this interesting. And yeah, so let's get on with it. Okay, so as you can see, we've now got the deck out. Couple of things, quite a lot of rust on the underside. So I've sprayed it down with water just to get most of the grass and crap off. But definitely lots of rust on this side. On the other side, it's obviously much worse, which is quite typical. We're going to need to clean this up and get it resprayed, I think, basically to try and stop that rust from continuing. So what I'm going to do, I'm now going to completely strip it. In other words, remove all these pulleys, remove the housings. We'll have to turn over and take the blade off on the other side, 2 blades rather. Obviously we'll get all that off, get the wheels off. Basically just completely strip it so that we can clean it up and respray it, get it nicely coated, recoated, to prevent that rust going any further. What we don't want is rot setting in on this deck, because obviously that's a really bad thing. First thing I've noticed, these bearings sound okay. They're not too bad. The main cutting hub bearings, they seem fine. This one, which is like the idler gear, also adjusts the tension. Hopefully you can see this on camera, but that one there, that's completely gone. So that one needs to be replaced completely. So we'll definitely do that one. Once we get into these hubs, we'll see what sort of condition they're in. Like I say, they sound okay, but there's a bit of a click on that one. And that one doesn't sound healthy at all. So I think probably what we'll do, we'll pull all the bearings out and just replace the whole lot, seeing as we're here. So yeah, so I'm going to get on with that now. Basically stripping and getting the deck completely cleaned up so that we can respray. Okay, I just wanted to bring you closer so we can see on this boss, which is for the blade, you can see there are two pins, one there and one there, and obviously they help hold the blade and guard the blade. Also, listen to the sound and see how well it spins. Come to this side and we found that one of those pins is actually missing. So that's actually broken off at some point. So we must have hit something enough to cause that to shear off. Let's look at the other one. But listen to this one now. And notice how it doesn't continue spinning. That bearing's definitely gone. One of those. Okay, now I believe these just press off, as in I think we can just lever them off. I'm going to try that now. Because they will have to come off in order for this housing, the hub, to go back through that hole. So those are going to have to come off first. Okay, so these are proving a little bit more difficult to get off than I imagined. I'm still pretty sure that they just pull off. I can't see any screws or fixings in the side here that might be holding them in. I'm a little bit nervous to leave it too much because this is just like an aluminium alloy, and so is this. So I'm a bit afraid of breaking something. I'm going to try the bigger puller now. Let's see if I can get it to budge, but I really wasn't expecting them to be this tight. Right, another thing I wanted to show you quickly, these are the little connectors for connecting a hose, obviously on the other side of the deck. Now, in terms of getting it out, what we can see, we need to turn them, and they've got little catches here and here that need to be lifted, and then that can turn and that'll come out. So we're just going to do that quickly. Right, let's get these hubs off. So there we go, there's the first one. Now, I don't think you can see it, but there's a little snap ring inside there that we'll have to remove, and then hopefully we'll be able to press the bearings out. Okay, now we need to strip these hubs. I hope that you can see in the video there now that we've got a circlip in there, and of course we've got this key that we need to take out. So I'm going to start with the circlip. I won't be able to do it in camera, I'm afraid, but I'm sure you know what I'm doing. Hopefully these circlip pliers are fine enough. Okay, now we need to get this key out. Hopefully it's not going to be too difficult. Generally speaking, you can normally grab them with a pair of side cutters and just lever them out. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be difficult. Right, now, if I'm not mistaken, this is a tin shield down here that we need to somehow try and lift out. It's loose. What I might do is just try and turn it over. It wants to come, but there's a little bit of rust on the shaft that's preventing it from sliding off. There we go. Just enough to get underneath it. Be careful not to bend it, it's quite thin. There we go. And that gives us access then to the bearing, which you can see down there. Now, these bearings would need to, well, the shaft will need to be pressed out, and we'll use the press for that, I think. Right, so I'm going to get the other one. I'll remove the circlip, remove the key, and that tin shield, and then we'll move over to the press and press them out. Okay, so there's a couple of other things I want to check whilst we wait for parts for the cutting deck. Main thing really is to look for any bearings that might be suspect. Predominantly, I'm going to be listening for any kind of bearing noise or resistance. It's going to, obviously that's difficult to capture on the camera, but obviously I'll let you know what I find as I go. So clearly what we've just done, we've just put the mower up on 4 axle stands just to get everything up off the floor so there's no resistance. There is a significant amount of play in the steering when you're driving this tractor, and I can see why. There's a lot of play in this steering arm, where the steering arm connects to the pivot joint on this axle, or on this spindle rather. So we're going to have a look at that. I've actually ordered a replacement steering connector because I know last summer this one did come off, and it was a little bit mangled. I managed to straighten it and get it put it back on, but I'm afraid that it's not 100%. So I have ordered a replacement, and I'm hoping that that's going to help. But it feels to me like we might have a little bit of play in the steering arm that comes from the steering mechanism at the bottom of the steering wheel, and also in this cross arm that goes across to the other wheel. Feels like there might be a little bit of play in both of those. So we'll have a look at those once we've replaced that. So first place to start would be wheel bearings. And that wheel feels and sounds absolutely fine. Got a little bit of in and out movement, but that's because it's a free rolling hub. Slight amount of play, but again, I suspect that's because it's just it's a bearing sitting on a fixed shaft. Getting a little bit of bearing noise there, but it's inconsistent all the way around, which is what you want. So that one seems fine. Let's check the back. Now with the back, we've obviously got the diff coming into play as well. We have very little movement on that bearing, so that feels fine. I think that one's okay as well. We just engage the brake, which also engages the clutch. There's quite a bit of, what would you call it, I suppose lash in that diff. I don't know what the specifications are. It's a bit more than I was expecting, but maybe it's just the way this thing is engineered. The other one we can check is the idler gear, or the idler pulley rather, on the belt. We replaced that bearing at the beginning of last summer, and actually it feels fine. Yeah, I think that one's probably okay. Try and get a look underneath now. There's a second idler pulley in here. It's a plastic one. And that feels fine. There's a little bit of rust on the clutch pulley, but I think that's a little bit unavoidable given the weather that we have in this country. The brakes, I know the brakes need, the brake pad need replacing on this. They are actually holding. So when the brake is applied, I can't turn the gearbox at all. The wheels obviously only engage with the brake shaft. It's a lay shaft basically. Obviously when they're on the ground, then they'll lock up, and that's how the brakes work. But anyway, so I've ordered the brake pads. They're going to be replaced anyway, and we'll obviously show you how that works. All the wheel bearings feel okay. The bearings on the pulleys all feel okay. So yeah, I think for now we wait for parts, and we'll get this mower serviced hopefully next weekend. So I think that's it for today. Obviously a lot of work to do on the cutting deck, as you saw earlier in the video, but yeah, we'll work through that in the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, we'll get the engine service done, and we'll get the different components replaced that we know need replacing. Quite a lot of work to do on this little mower. It works hard, so I don't begrudge it having a good service and having a few bits sorted out. Hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers for now.